So you want to break your bad habits? Look, I'm not going to waste your time. The first thing you should always ask yourself is, why should I listen to X person? So why should you even listen to me? Dekho, when others are spending time watching Netflix, I'm watching Andrew Huberman videos on how to break habits. See, मैं सेल्फ इम्प्रूवमेंट पे अराउंड 2 साल से रह चुका एंड आई थिंक आई कैन रियली हेल्प यू एंड बाय द वे आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू गिव यू दैट ट्रेडिशनल एडवाइस दैट ब्रो बस हैबिट को रिप्लेस कर ले. नो, आई एम गोइंग टू टीच यू अ न्यू कॉन्सेप्ट यू हैव नेवर हर्ड बिफोर कॉल्ड द हेगल्स डायलेक्ट. Look at this right now. So this is actually called the Hegel's dialect. What does this equation actually say is thesis plus antithesis equals to a synthesis, which is another thesis. Now ये सबका मतलब actually क्या है? Thesis is what actually occurs in you, antithesis is what you do, and synthesis is a result of that action. So let's say a thesis could be you wanting to fap. An antithesis would be you actually fapping, and synthesis would be you feeling like shit. Thesis essentially is what occurs internally, whereas antithesis is what you actually do and what you can say it is called as action. मेरा handwriting थोड़ा खराब है. Now this can be used to actually break your habits. So let's say you have a thesis of wanting to fap, and instead of this as an antithesis, you go do some push-ups. That causes a new synthesis to occur, which is not this one. This means that you become happy because you have not fapped, and then this becomes the thesis for another event. You see how this works? And before you even understand what is the thesis or the antithesis that you must do to break the bad habit, you must first understand triggers. देखो क्या होता था usually कि मैं जब लॉकडाउन के वक्त मैं खाता था एंड यू नो आफ्टर यू ईट योर माइंड इज सुपर रिलैक्स बिकॉज इट इज़ फोकस्ड ऑन डाइजेस्टिंग द फूड. सो मेरा माइंड बहुत रिलैक्स हो जाता था एंड देन आई यूज्ड टू सिट ऑन माई कंप्यूटर एंड देन यू नो व्हाट हैपेंस, आई यूज्ड टू फैप एंड दिस वाज अकरिंग every single time. I knew this was my trend. After eating and sitting on the computer, I'm going to fap. I knew this was my trigger. Fast forward to today, मेरा और एक नया एडिक्शन हो चुका है यूट्यूब से. I'll be honest, मेरे को हो चुका है यूट्यूब से एडिक्शन. एंड सो उसका ट्रिगर क्या था कि आफ्टर क्लास इट बिकम्स सुपर हार्ड टू वर्क हार्ड बिकॉज यू आर टायर्ड, यू आर डाइजेस्टिंग द फूड. So that became my trigger for this exact habit. So what you must do is identify this is the trigger for this habit. So अगर तुम बहुत टाइम इंस्टाग्राम पे स्पेंड करो, ask yourself, why do you spend so much time on Instagram? Why are you spending so much time on social media? What is causing you to actually use these apps? There has to be a certain trigger that is causing this action. There has to be a thesis which is causing the synthesis. And once you understand what that trigger is, you need to understand why you are doing that habit. So fapping, why are you fapping? Because you're lacking love in your life. You're lacking good dopamine in your life. That is what you're lacking. So how do you fix that? Is you need to find an alternate source to get that same thing. So for example, let's say dopamine chahiye tumhe, you want to feel pleasure, you want to feel dopamine. You can either fap or you can take a cold shower, you can walk in the sun, you can touch an animal, you can do a workout, you can work hard, mentally demanding tasks. Doing hard things releases more dopamine. You can do that instead of fapping. That way you can break this bad habit and develop a new and better one. There is another thing that is holding you back, and that is your ego. You must destroy your ego. What happens is when you are on this grind and you usually think कि भाई मेरा days perfect होना चाहिए, जैसे कि मैं हर दिन ये habit करते ही रहूँगा. You are going to fail. You are going to have relapses. You're going to have periods of time when you're not going to do that bad habit. And you're going to have a period of time when you are doing that bad habit. And you cannot be perfect all the time. I know this sounds a little bit, what do you say, weak. But remember, don't use this as an excuse to do that bad habit. वरना कोई बोल देगा भाई रोहित ने बोला वीडियो में कि you know it is okay to fail, so मैं fail करूँगा आज. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying is you must destroy that ego, because what happens is if you have that ego कि नहीं भाई हर दिन perfect रहना चाहिए, when you don't have a perfect day, you will end up feeling like shit even though you haven't really lost everything. Let me explain. Now this is what usually happens. Imagine a building. Let's say ये तुम्हारा self improvement progress रहा है, and then you have a bad habit attacking you. And what does it actually feel like? It feels as if you've lost a lot of progress, isn't it? It feels insane to actually lose so much progress. But do you know what the reality is? This is not the reality. What actually happens is when your self improvement is attacked by a bad habit, you don't actually crumble the whole building, but in reality, you crumble a small part of it. To lose your ego and think that this is not always going to happen. You are going to fail. And instead of thinking that this has what has occurred, you need to think that this has what has occurred. You've not lost all your progress, but you've actually lost a little part of it. And so this is the exact strategy you must use to break your own bad habits. If you like this video, scroll down and subscribe. Don't sacrifice your future self for the pleasure today. Peace.